Hello, my name is Nakoah Brown, and I will be talking about corporation ethics along with Volkswagen's emissions scandal. Corporations have grown to an astonishing size in this day and age. Because of their size, they have a lot of power to impact a wide variety of people. Organizations are so powerful they have the ability to do a lot of good in their community. For example, corporations are becoming more sustainable and spreading the word about how to become more environmentally friendly. However, on the other hand, corporations also have the ability to impact people in a negative way. An example of this would be the Volkswagen scandal that took place a few years back. Volkswagen, one of the leading producers of automobiles, is based out of Wolfsburg, Germany. The corporation was founded in the 1930s under control of Adolf Hitler. Originally, the company was a campaign to build a set of highways across Germany by mass-producing a car that everyone could afford. This is where the name Volkswagen arose, meaning the People's Car Company. Nowadays, Volkswagen still produces passenger cars, but has grown into the largest car maker in Europe. In 2014, Volkswagen increased the number of vehicles delivered to customers from 9.7 million in 2013 to 10.1 million. But after 2014's emission scandal, business took a turn for the worst. During the production of a new line of diesel-powered energy-efficient cars, Volkswagen realized that their cars were not going to pass EPA emission standards. Instead of fixing the problem, Volkswagen opted to cut corners and install technology that would allow the car to detect when it was being tested and reduce emissions output to an acceptable rate for EPA emission standards. The EPA found that Volkswagen installed software on 482,000 diesel cars in the US that allowed it to cheat emissions tests. After the device was deactivated, the emissions test results showed the cars were actually putting off emissions at a rate that was 40 times higher than the acceptable standard that was set by the Clean Air Act in 1970. According to the utilitarian ethical theory, Volkswagen's actions were highly unethical because they were not looking to benefit the greatest number of people. Volkswagen was only looking out for themselves and the bottom line of the company instead of taking into account their stakeholders. The customers that had the faulty cars were the primary stakeholders that were negatively affected. Dealing with the cost and hassle of making the cars legal to drive again was a problem that many customers had to deal with. The customers also would have been affected by the harsh emissions that damaged the environment. Volkswagen dealers and employees were also stakeholders. Because they had to deal with the loss of trust that comes from a scandal of this size, Volkswagen dealers had a loss of business. If the dealers were not prepared for the drought of income, it could affect their livelihood. Also, the loss of trust in the corporation forced executives, management, and the board of Volkswagen to come together and find a way to make things right. This cost Volkswagen time and money in the long run and hurt them substantially. The loss of business also triggered the stock price to plummet, which affected thousands of investors. The only ones that were positively affected by the emission scandal was Volkswagen before the scandal was detected, lawyers and consultants that worked the many lawsuits, and media and social media that had a spike during the scandal. As you can see, the negatively affected stakeholders far outnumbered the positively affected stakeholders. Therefore, Volkswagen did not look to benefit the greater good, which means, according to the utilitarian theory, Volkswagen acted unethically. Because they were lying to the people and putting them in harm's way, they were not treating them as individuals and acting in a way that could become a universal law. This is because if any car company were allowed to install this technology, people would be in contact with unhealthy amounts of emissions and be subject to many health risks as a result. If Volkswagen were to act in an ethically acceptable way, they would have solved the emissions issue properly allowing people to drive safe cars and without risk of illness. This would be acceptable for both the virtue and utilitarian ethical theories because they would have treated people as individuals along with benefiting the greatest number of people.